right, Jonathan. Last time, I didn't have everybody come up. It got like confusing to invite everybody up. So just do, since we have plenty of mics this time. Remember we had to bounce back and forth. Everybody can do their committee reports and such, sitting. But I think for the votes that you guys got to do, come on.
We're gonna vote?
Yeah, you got shit to do.
For what?
Take a look. Oh, they're on there. John Stout, number 6.
It's not really number 6. No, I guess it is.
So, but I'll do my shtick, and you're gonna come up and ask for the vote, though, right?
Yeah, we don't get to ask for the vote.
Nope. We'll do the
Present
stick.
the item.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I can handle it.
At least it's got us dirt in front so they can't see us playing footsie.
It's like staring at me.
That was kind of mean of him.
Who?
Katie. That's pretty funny. I think 2 years ago, I won
Thank you.
Is it any good? I actually like it. I'm pretty ass picky guy. Don't mess with her.
Hey, Welton. We're not going to pass out the ballots until just before the second VP candidates give their talks. So I'm going to go through all the candidates giving their talks. I'll tell you guys when to hand them out because we're calling up the last two.
Wait till he tells you.
After Northern California, because Northern California has 3 candidates. When they're done, we'll pass the ballots out. I'll make sure that everybody can hear the 2 VP candidates.
So tell
We'll
Courtney.
immediately after. Okay.
So she
Then
doesn't have to.
I'll just let you know.
Figured out who you're voting for?
Yeah, I made that decision long ago. I think generally there's been one of the candidates that supported the chapter a whole heck of a lot more than another.
So the initials with a J?
I mean, that's what my process was. Who was given 1,000%? Who can I expect to give 1,000%? Whether that was the right way or the wrong way, that was the way I did it.
I think either would be good for the chapter. But I'm with you. I know Gary's strongly opinionated on that one, but she helped me on my campaign. been involved.
Ultimately, you can say either one of them would be good now, but you can even argue that one of them was a detonator for you.
I wasn't involved in a lot of those politics, but yeah, I know enough of the stories that
Right. I really like her.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely. I think it's.
And I do have some of the same concerns that Gary had.
yeah.
If she gets it, we're going to have to control her a little bit. That'll be my job as the first chair. Everybody else is gone.
Way to work the room. Good job.
I got everybody to make sure I knew who was doing committee reports and who's not. Who's speaking for the AAA update, which Todd is now.
So for committee reports, it's like ethics. Do I really need to give a report?
Do that. Has there been any ethical issues going on?
Something with regards to the room last night.
What happened in the room last night?
I don't know. We should ask security.
Nothing allowed.
So nothing out of the ordinary.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna have to say since the last 2 nights I haven't visited the after. But none have been brought to my attention.
No, I have 2 years left. Well, a year and a half.
Banquet in here?
I think so.
Kathy.
What?
Is the banquet in here?
Yes.
I do have to let you know, Wendy is extremely thrilled to be doing this damn pin thing.
Is she really? Why? She's gonna mess with you?
No, she just. I need to do what?
What's up, my friend?
So,
What?
It might be an opportunity to make up some lost time.
Yeah.
Oh no, it'll be done by 2 o'clock the latest.
You think so?
Oh hell yeah. How about
That's what I've had people questions, and that
I'm,
was
wa-
my,
I'm watching the time. We're
We
gonna
can
start in
start
like 10
now.
minutes. We can start now as soon as Richard's finishing because this is the biggest part. We're moving. I'm changing the agenda around to get the election shit out of the way first.
smart.
You're a handsome motherfucker.
Where are you? You little devil, you. All right.
You didn't know you're gonna be harassed so much sexually
Yes,
with this group, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
It's been going on for years.
Why should it stop now?
EP for PP.
Okay, well, I guess that's all I got to say.
5 minutes, we'll start. Are we good with technology?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
We had 14, we had up to 14 people streaming today. So that's good.
What was the biggest amount so far that you're aware of?
18. It's late enough. 18
And you-
one time.
And you can't. Can you do the count for Facebook Live? No, right?
It may be, I'm not sure. So they just added Facebook
Okay.
to live stream. And so it's showing, and it may be counting that, it may not. You can go onto Facebook and the video gets archived.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
you can see how many people have viewed it. And then you can go into analytics on that and see how long it's been. And when I was looking at it yesterday, most of them were 10-second views. So they saw it, clicked on it.
They just want to see, oh yeah, that works.
All right. That's kind of cool. Perfect.
Yep. It's an unusual platform to try to have a streaming thing because that's not what Facebook is about. I mean, Facebook's about
And then
scrolling, so when
any
you have something
other
streaming,
items
it's
that
like,
you would need to talk about?
we got time for this?
Camera reasons. So if you have any
Facebooking
time
right
for-
now.
But it seems to be working.
Yeah.
All right.
Right now?
Gentlemen,
All right, I'm
your capable hands.
starting 3 minutes. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
You want to give a 3-minute warm-up?
No, anybody's gonna come up here.
Do you want time and place?
Nope. It's you.
I know it's me, but do you want me to do it?
Oh hell yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Get
I'll
your
let them know that
set your
we had a
calendars.
great suggestion. We'll get all these dates out on the website so you can plan next year.
Kathy, do I have to thank sponsors or anything for lunch? Any specific for lunch? No? Okay, good. That's what I like to hear. All right.
No, we like no. We like catching up with time. Can't tell people page 5 is that's really not page 5. That's not really page. No, it's front to back.
Huh? No, she'll do whatever.
One, it was the write-up for Florida, what he requested, what she requested, that's clear, but the biggest bullet is that we gave her for 2 years and we want to
Yes, we do. Yes, 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 yes.
So party is only for a year though because he's
Tier 1
pulling
and 2 for
much.
So I need to get, I have it right now. This is 3 through 5, or these are all the, so let me go get what I have, and then there should be table
Got
2.
together to drink.
Is that long list again? Do we need to do that? Can we just save the table? Please take one of your table tennis.
Yeah, I gotta go get the table.
Someone smeared
No,
something on my
well, those are done. Well, yeah, there's usually separate ones, but.
He's talking about the smear on his plate.
Oh, yeah,
Trying
that's-
to figure out what smeared it.
That was me earlier today. Smear.
First of all, someone smeared something on my plate, and then I don't know.
So, those are fine to leave.
Okay.
Um,
Do they want me to announce it? Do the corporate guys want me to announce the whole list? They do. Then I'll do it.
Yeah, I don't like that smear thing. Looks like something my dog doesn't try to do on carpet.
Someone just scooted across my plate.
I'm so glad potty humor never gets old.
Right?
You guys are so fucked up.
Why? Is potty humor still funny?
Yes, they do. Huh?
Was that supposed to be creme brulee or what is it?
I don't know.
Tart?
Tastes like a pudding.
he won't eat it. Are you ready, my friend?
I'm ready, sir.
All right, so he's getting me the list. I'm going to read the sponsors they want me to. I think that's the right call. And then I'll start just working it. These mics are walk around, so if you want to walk around.
I don't think I need to.
You got these? Delivery.
Yeah. I'm gonna just call them off.
Great idea.
So when you need help, or you got minions taken care of.
We got millions. We're good. Yeah. All the millions are sitting there with magic.
All right, all right, all right. That membership change?
I think I may have said something about that.
Still think Beagles is going to win anyway.
Why does it change in the grand scheme? It's only one person. It's not like it really changes the whole.
No, that's true. It just changes Arizona.
Yeah, just screws you.
Not me. I'm out. I milked the Phoenix Factor. Called my peeps and said, vote. Kick
How
Dickens-
often?
Kick Dickens' ass, man.
But on the other hand, it's good to see that there were that many absentee ballots.
Yes.
Can you take my share away?
Right. All right, I'm going to start this. I'll do the sponsors at the end since Kathy's slacking on her ass.
You want me to go get you one of those?
No, she.
Yeah. I don't want to do that. I got it worked out in my head. I just hope it comes out my lips right.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Not a.
If it does, have fun with it. Eebity, 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 eebity.
That's
That's
all,
all, folks.
Go
I'm
send
out.
Mic drop.
Right.
I should. Did I show you my notes for tonight? Pretty detailed.
You're gonna make me feel bad. Oh, okay, no, that doesn't make me feel bad.
That's it.
That's good. Because that's about what I'll have.
Yeah, I only rehearsed it 6 times and I went to sleep constantly and then.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody.
Gavel.
Is this thing on? Got to get really close to it. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Gary Mascaro. I'm your president of SWAHI, and we're going to start the meeting for the general membership. So what I'd like to do is call the meeting to order and verify if there is a quorum. So I believe we need to have so many executive members. 20. So if you're an executive member, please raise your hand. Yep, 20 could. Thank you very much. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. So first and foremost, what I'd like to do is go ahead and thank all our Tier 1 and 2 sponsors for everything they've done to make this event as successful as it has been. And I hope everybody enjoyed the beach party last night. So did you guys have a good time? That was fantastic. And once again, I want to thank John Wayne Airport, particularly Deanne Thompson and her team for putting that all on. It's absolutely beautiful. It's really cool. So I'd like to thank our Tier 1 and 2 sponsors for the events that have been placed. First and foremost, John Wayne, Signature Flight Support, Kaufman Associates, Mead and Hunt, ACI Jet, Laz Parking, Visit Anaheim, AECom, Kimley Horn and Associates, RS&H, Flagship, Atlantic Aviation, and Swintern. So let's give them all a round of applause, please. I'd also like to thank Lion Air Museum, Clear Channel, Visit Laguna Beach, Lamar Alliance Airport Advertising, CNS Companies, Burns & McDonald, and Austin. So thank them as well, please. So I can promise you this meeting will not go past 2 o'clock. I guarantee it. It's all about efficiency. So with that, I'd like to invite Mr. Immediate Past President Smith to talk about election of officers.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, it is my privilege to present for your consideration the summer 2017 slate of candidates. And before we get them up here to introduce themselves, I just want to give you a little background on the process that we went through. Starting shortly after the Monterey Conference in January, the nominating committee and executive committee together really scoured our region looking for interested, willing, and able candidates to come in and serve in these roles of directors and the second VP of our executive committee. I can assure you that we did our jobs. We did it very well. In fact, we had a couple of personnel turnovers in Nevada. Save that, we would have had contested elections in every position except corporate and Southern California. So given the situation in Nevada, we do have a few of the positions that are running unopposed. Those are Arizona, Director at-Large, Nevada, and SoCal. And we do have a runoff in Northern California and for the second vice president position. At this time, I'd like to call up our Southern California representative, followed by the rest of the candidates, which we'll call individually just to kind of introduce themselves so you can get a flavor of who they are. Kevin, if you could come up, and Mr. Dean Schultz, who is running for the Nevada director position, if you could be on deck for us, I'd appreciate that. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Kevin Buman. I serve as the Director of Airports for San Luis Obispo County, which happens to be the border between Northern and Southern California. I think we actually had to get out a map to make sure that we had my airport in the right region. But I welcome your vote for Southern California position on the board. I've been involved in the industry in airports for 15 years. I've been a licensed pilot for over 25 years. Love aviation, love working with everyone in the industry, and look forward to serving SWAI in the years to come.
Thank you, Kevin. Dean Schultz, Nevada.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and I have the good fortune, as Richard said, to be running unopposed, but I still will ask for your vote. I've been with the Reno Tahoe Airport Authority for about 20 years now. I serve as the Chief Operating Officer at the moment, and prior to that I did 13 years of work with the consulting firms, Reynolds Smith & Hills and a company called Greiner. I'm also a pilot, been a pilot for more than almost 3 decades now. So, but anyways, I'm excited about the opportunity to serve on the board of SWAHI, and I look forward for contributing and participating, but thank you very much.
And if I could have Barney Helmick, your candidate for Arizona, and on deck Corinne Nystrom. If you could both make your way to the podium, appreciate it.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Barney Helmick. I'm currently the Flagstaff, Arizona Airport Director. I've been in the business for about 30 years, managed in 3 different airports and worked at a 4th airport. Before I go too far, I want to thank the outgoing members of the board. They did a great job. I know how it is. I've worked as the president and past director of Arizona Airports Association. So there's a lot of time involved, but I'm ready to make that commitment, and even though I'm running unopposed, I know write-in's a tough guy to beat, so please vote for me. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name's Corrine Nystrom. I'm the airport director at Mesa Falcon Field Airport in Mesa, Arizona. I currently have the pleasure of serving on the SWAHI board representing Arizona, but am potentially going to be shifting over to your at-large representative. I was appointed when our good friend Chad Makovsky left the region to go to DFW, and so that's how I ended up on the board. I've been in the airport industry for over 31 years, working both at General Aviation Airport and at a commercial service airport. Was actively involved, president of the Arizona Airports Association. Up in Colorado, I was the president of the Colorado Airports Operators Association, as well as appointed by the governor of Colorado to serve on the Colorado Aeronautical Board. So I would like to be able to give back to this organization and contribute in ways that maybe, if I'm lucky, I learned something from those other organizations that I can bring to the table here. So I would appreciate your vote as the at-large candidate. I am committed to serving all of you. Thank you.
Yes, as Barney said, it's tough to beat the write-in, but so I'm fairly confident that those you just heard from will be successful. But we'll find out tonight at the banquet. Let's move right into Northern California. This year, we have 3 candidates running for this 2-year term. TJ Chen, Judy Ross, and Andy Swanson, who is your current incumbent. And we will take them in that order. Is TJ in? Oh, there he is. And Judy, where's Judy? There you go. Judy, you'll be next. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everybody. Again, I'm TJ Chen Kearney. I'm the Chief Administrative Officer for Sacramento County. Starting to look forward to the opportunity to serve all of you. I have a very unique background. I grew up in the Bay Area and certainly grew up in this industry. I started as an intern with a San Francisco ADO. Then had a very fortunate opportunity to work for Mike Shutt and Lee Moen, very early part of my career. I was able to transition to the ADO for quite a long time. Really learn about the business and gain a lot of valuable experience. And before joining Sacramento County, I was very fortunate to travel around the world to help many airports over the world, South America, Australia, and the Pacific Rim and China to really improve airport safety and really gain some very valuable experience. I certainly look forward to the opportunity to take my experience, help everyone here grow and progress, and also help the organization to continue to progress and how we can develop into an even better organization. So appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Judy?
Good afternoon. I am Judy Ross. I'm currently serving as the Interim Assistant Director at San Jose International Airport. And I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to run for the Northern California Director. As far as my experience, when I was in Arizona, I was the Arizona, held the Arizona Director position prior to moving to Northern California. I also served on a couple summer conference committees, and I also chaired the Certified Airport Executive Membership Committee while I served on the board. And more than experience, I'd like to think that I hope I have contributed and added value to SWAHI when I was on the board and throughout my time in the organization, which has been several years. And just a little story, I have a couple stories. We were talking to Mark Whitsoe at the Sunday evening welcome reception, he mentioned a guy by the name of Phil Locke. And I don't know how many of you remember Phil Locke. I can see some of you that may have remembered Phil Locke. But when I first moved into this area, because I'm from the Midwest, moved into here, I know Phil really helped me. I was only 12 at the time, so if you're wondering how, the 12 at the time, that he really helped me come into the association and help assist me in my earlier career. And I hope that's what SWAI is as well. I like to hope continue in that tradition as helping each of us in our own careers and also helping those future leaders that they're come in and welcome them to the association. And that brings me to another conversation I had. I believe it was John Fauché this morning, where he was kind of mentioning, kind of joking around with somebody last night, and I have two young men, boy sons, and so I said, well, that wasn't very nice, and John Fauché said, well, it's family. That's what we do as family, and that's how we look at each of us, is continue the tradition of family, because we all help each other, but we rib each other sometimes too. So I want to continue in that tradition as well, and I'd like to, I did for my notes, and now I lost my notes. And so I appreciate the opportunity to serve the organization again. I'm representing the Northern California Board of Directors position, and I thank you for your vote.
Andy Swanson.
Hi, I'm Andy Swanson. I am the airport manager for the city of Palo Alto. I'm the incumbent for the Northern SWAI Board of Director. And I kind of look back, and it's interesting, Judy brought this up, and it was what I was going to talk about. I'm going to go on with it, because what SWAI means to me goes back to Mark Witzel, and he happens to be here. And I wasn't even a member of SWAI, 99, 2000, and Mark had me outside just working the counter and checking people in. And I learned about SWAI and what it meant in family and dedication. And I really grew with that throughout the time. And I think you guys have great candidates. I mean, you know, me, TJ, or Judy, you got great choices. What sets me apart, I think, is the history, the longevity of being part of this association for so long and working, different things. I agreed to disagree with our president. He was right, but it was talking about the lunch for the winter conference in Monterey, and it was a great hit. But I can take credit for having your board sit out in front of you, see who it is. So many times I sat at the conferences and didn't know who somebody was or something. So I think those things, reaching out to the corporate members, sitting in on the corporate members' meetings, finding out what's working for them, those are things that I brought to this, the board, working, getting your feedback, and I'd really appreciate your vote. But as I said, you have good choices any way you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy, and thank you to all of the candidates who are running for Northern California. One bit of information that may not be apparent as you look at the slate. We do currently have a vacancy in Northern California, so the winner of today's contest will take the 2-year term that's on the ballot. Kim Becker, after transferring from San Jose down to San Diego, left a vacancy there that I believe our incoming president will fill also at tonight's banquet. So 2 of the 3 candidates for Northern California are very likely to obtain positions today. With that, and before we hear from the second vice president candidates, could I have our assistants pass out the ballots? Hold of the corporate ballot for now, just the my apologies. If you are an executive or an executive emeritus member, you will have a little purple or some kind of mark on here indicating that you're a voting member. Please raise your hand and they will get you a ballot. And while that process is occurring, if I could have our two superstars make their way to the front. These are your candidates for second vice president and who will, over the next 3 years, ascend into the office of the president for SWA-E. And we'll take them in the order that they are listed on the ballot. Danette Bewley, Vice President of Operations at Tucson Airport Authority, and then we'll hear from Miss Jennifer Maples, Aviation Superintendent, City of Phoenix Aviation Department.
You don't want me to sing, do you? That would be...
Yeah.
Those are easy.
Sorry.
I was going to do it for you.
I think we're good. You good? Yes, we're good. Thank you.
Everybody ready? Great. Hi. Pencils down. That's right. Thanks, Barry. Hi, everybody. My name is Danette Bewley, and as Richard said, I'm the Vice President of Operations and Projects at the Tucson Airport Authority and the Chief Operating Officer. I'm originally from San Diego, California, and I've moved around a little bit. I am the product of the Cuban Missile Crisis. My parents met when my dad was on a special mission down there, flying missions over Cuba that the U.S. wasn't really flying over Cuba, and met my mom, who was a flight attendant at Eastern Airlines. Imagine that, a pilot and a flight attendant getting together. I am that product. My dad was a Navy pilot. He did a lot of great things, taught me how to fly, things that people can't fly today in my position. F4s, F8s, F14s, you name it. I got to fly the simulators. He even taught me how to be a GA pilot. It was a child labor law issue when he made me fly him to different airports in Southern California when he was an airline pilot on standby. That was really mean. It was scary flying in the LA basin, you know, really scary. Anyway, it still is. Yeah, thank you. I also got the opportunity to watch him grow in his career. He had a really cool assignment when he was at NAS Miramar. He helped develop a special squadron that some people may have heard of. It's called the Special Weapons Fighter School. Some people may have seen a little movie called Top Gun. My dad was one of the founding members of Top Gun. And because of that, I've just had a love of aviation. It just is in the blood. Drank jet fuel. You know how everybody here has some sort of a connection to aviation. It's just unavoidable. I took that love of aviation and parlayed it into education. I have a bachelor's degree in aviation management, a master's degree in management, and a MPA in public administration. I'm also a licensed private pilot, been so since 1989. I promise you I fly better than I drive. I promise. I am an accredited airport executive and a CAE. All of this has combined into almost 29 years in this industry, and I can't imagine doing anything else. It's just been wonderful. I have had the pleasure to serve the industry both at the national level, AAAE board, and the SWA-E level in a variety of different positions. One of the highlights of my service career was when I was appointed to be the chair of the Board of Examiners. I was on the board for 7 years before I was appointed by John Duvall, who was the then AAAE chair. Thank you, John. And for all the support that the executive committee gave me and the Board of Examiners during a really interesting time. For some of you that have been around in the industry a while, you probably remember the CM and the AAE modules were like 15 modules. We put them into 4 modules. I also want to shout out to Scott Brockman. He was a fellow BOE member, and We lived through that time when we were retooling those modules. We also retooled the written examination process where we added an essay question, which was something that our membership asked us to do. So there's some things that we've done there to streamline the accreditation process. During this time, 11 years, I assisted over 100 candidates earn their accreditation. For that, I'm just blessed and grateful. I still see members that I remember helping 10 years ago, and it's a wonderful feeling to have been able to give back like that. Presently, I am your candidate for the executive committee on AAAE, hopefully following in Todd McNamee's shoes one day. I've worked at 4 airport organizations, all sizes of airports, general aviation and commercial, Part 139 certificated airports. And so I understand the challenges and issues that face us all. My platform, if you elect me as your second VP of SWAHI, is to expand our membership base. One of the things I see as we grow older and get more seasoned in our careers is that we really need to grow the base and really think about succession planning. Who's going to follow us? How can we help them? What are we going to do to position our organization to take the next step? It's one of the things that I think about a lot. I'd also like to make sure that we are positioned at the national level to support the interests of SWAHI and take that message back to people who may not have all of the information readily available. So that's part of the advocacy that I would bring to SWAHI and in this position if so elected. I offer you experience, commitment, dedication, and leadership. If you want action, I'm your candidate. I thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Danette. And now we'll hear from Ms. Jennifer Maples.
I don't think that's the music I picked. I don't know. That's okay. Better late than never, right? Okay. Don't want to block the view here. So just, I'm going to go off script here for a second. I just realized sitting over there that this is the 20th anniversary of my first SWAHI conference in 1997 back in Phoenix. So that's kind of exciting, actually. The folks you've heard from today all have a lot of experience in the industry, and I think you can't go wrong. But as for my formal comments, first of all, I'd like to thank you for being here today at this conference in beautiful Newport Beach. But also at this general membership meeting. The only way we can succeed as an organization is to have active participation and involvement from our members, and it starts right here. And the cool thing, and several people have mentioned this, the great thing about having multiple candidates for a given position or office is the fact that it's a testament to the organization, to the leadership, to the direction that we're going in. And that's why I'm here in front of you today. The chapter plays a vital role in bridging the gap between your state and local and your national arenas. And what SWAHI does is it provides that additional layer of support and resources. It fosters the relationship and facilitates the communication. And it provides those additional opportunities for leadership and professional development, and that all enables us to grow in our jobs and in our industry. One of the things I think we do a fantastic job at that. I mean, I think we're very good at it, and that's one of the reasons that I really got engaged in SWAHI, was seeing how welcoming we are and how engaged we are with each other. Now, hopefully you've all seen this. I'm not going to repeat what's in the flyer, but hopefully you all know me now. You know me well enough. You know my commitment to SWAHI over the last 20 years, but also my passion for aviation and advocacy. And that's what I bring to the table. This election, though, and this organization is not about any one person. It's about this common thread that binds us all together. It's our love of aviation and our desire to instill that in others so that we can prepare our industry for the future. And it's up to us to bring along those future airport managers, because one day we're going to retire or become consultants, like a few of us. I won't name names, Rod, John, Mike. But I'm not the first person, you've heard it several times, I'm not the first person to say this, and I certainly hope I'm not going to be the last, but SWAI really is, it's about family. It's about being part of something bigger than ourselves, and I will continue to work to enable SWAI to be a welcoming and enriching part of your life. So thank you very much for your consideration, and remember to vote NextGen.
Okay, thank you. With that, please cast your ballot. And when you're finished, raise your hand, and we will have staff come around and grab those. And I think I'll just go ahead and collect from the board members here in the front. And if we could have somebody start handing out the corporate ballot, we'll need all of the corporate members to raise their hand to receive the corporate ballot. And while that's happening, Jeff, how about coming up and introducing yourself to the one or two that may not know you?
Thank you very much, Richard. My name is Jeff Leonard. I'm the Associate Practice Leader for Mead & Hunt. And I'm very honored to have the opportunity to serve another term as the Corporate Director. I'm running solo, so as somebody else said, as long as I beat the write-in, all I need is one vote, and I prefer it wasn't myself. Like I said, very honored. 2 years ago, I got a gentle prod to run for the Corporate Director, kind of put yourself out of your normal comfort zone. So I just encourage everybody to get involved. The board meetings are usually the day or two before the whole conference starts, and those are open to everybody. There's very few people that actually show up that aren't the directors, so I strongly encourage everybody to attend those. Great wealth of information just with the folks that you have up here and the organization in itself, and provides a lot of great opportunities that you might not normally see. And so with that, just wanted to thank you again. And you always hear one thing to add, just this past year, you always learn something about yourself. And apparently in the weekly or bi-weekly conference committee meetings, apparently I have a smooth jazz radio voice. So still trying to figure that out. But with that being said, have a cool, relaxing afternoon, and we'll see you tonight.
Okay, do we collect all of the ballots? We've got one in the back here. Mr. Spurling still has one. See two back there. There's a couple more on the right side of the room, Walton. Hey, Walton, right up here in front, too. Okay, while we are finishing collecting the last of those, I'd like to thank everybody for participating in this year's summer elections, and I look forward to presenting the results at the banquet this evening. Thank you very much, and I'll give it back to President Mascara.
Smooth jazz, huh?
All right.
All right, folks, we're going to start diving into the meat of the agenda for today. First and foremost, item number 2 is to accept the minutes from the general membership meeting held on January 31st at the Monterey Plaza Resort. Is there any questions or comments on the general membership meeting minutes. You should all have packets on the table, so. If no questions, may I have a motion, please? I have a second. You got those, Kathy? Oh. All right. Any other additional questions or comments? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Perfect. Okay, now this is my turn to have my final president's report with regards to a general membership meeting. And first and foremost, I'd like to recognize a couple dignitaries that are in here that has been enjoying the week with us. One that we all know and love, and one that is here from the great state of Memphis, Tennessee. So with that, I'd like to recognize our chair of EEE, Mr. Scott Brockman. Mr. Brockman. Thank you very much for being here for the whole time. I really appreciate it. I'd also like to recognize our good friend and our family member, our second vice chair, Mr. McNamee. So I want to just talk about two things real quick, and then we have lots of reports that we're going to outline and discuss with you. But two things that I wanted to bring to everybody's attention is I'm not sure how many people are familiar with the AAE internship scholarship. And what that basically is there's funds available for your airport if you want to do an internship to help pay for that intern during a period of time. And what SWAHI would do would be able to match that. And I believe it's $2,500, so that would be up to $5,000 towards your airport to have internship. So one of my challenges to you last year was to build that family, bring in the young people, get them excited, and there's no better way to do that than to have an internship to get their hands dirty, to really understand and fall in love with this business. So please take advantage of that. If you have any specific questions or you want to inquire about it, our first Vice President Stout is here to help you, and we can get you where you need to get. So please look into that. The other thing I want to talk about, and the last thing for my President's report, is this year we were kind of active with regards to getting involved with some state issues, particularly in the state of California. We had some fantastic people that got engaged and contacted SWAHI and said, hey, we need to get engaged and oppose a particular bill. I believe it was AB 483, which talked about putting some unfunded mandates and potential impacts with regards to environmental issues like soil conditions and air quality, where you would have to monitor such things and evaluate all this stuff. And I can't thank that group enough. We got engaged. We moved very quickly. I wrote a letter with the assistance of them. I signed it. We sent it in opposition. And luckily, the bill died. We were listed actually as opposing the bill in the docket, so that was pretty exciting. And I know they're working some renditions now of potentially doing something new and exciting, but I know we're going to be involved. So my point is we, or SWAHI, again, are a family, and we want to make sure that you guys all understand that if things come up, that you need help, we are here for you. We will get engaged, we will move very quickly, and we will respond as quick as possible, and whatever it takes. So this has always been a team effort. I've never had anybody say I'm too busy for SWAHI. They've worked really hard, so I just want to remind everybody of that. So with that, I'm going to pass this on to Ms. Herring, our Executive Director, for a Director's Report.
My report is short and sweet and on page 6 of your packets. It is a membership report by class, which breaks down our current member numbers compared to where we were this time last year. So we have a current total of 593 members. And you will see, and as many of you know, we did complete a membership audit this year. So that is why we have an increase in executive members versus associate. We have 2 group memberships. First is airport group membership with a total of 159 members. And for corporate, we have a total of 56 individuals, 56 in the corporate group memberships. That's all.
Any questions for Kathy? She's trying to run away from the mic, so. If not, next item, Mr. Stout.
Well, good afternoon. You'll find in the packets our financial reports for your information. I do have to go back to school and go back to Accounting 101 because you'll see on the balance sheet that we can't make our assets and liabilities match. There is a reason for that. we did run out of time to get the reports into the packets. We had a double charge in our web services line item, and that's roughly $3,900, so there was not a way to put that correction into the report for you today. But it will be corrected and will be in balance like we should be. We continue to be strong financially as a chapter. Our conference and committee members who host our summer and winter conferences for us continue to perform very well and return more to the chapter than the minimum required. So thank you, Barry, and our winter conference committee, Andy. Made dealing with the finances this year very easy. Next in your packet is the profit and loss statement. The last few years, the board has been exercising a policy where our reserve funds have gotten too large. So we've worked for the last few years bringing that number down. So we've purposely operated in deficit for the last several years. We've put money into the technology, put more money into scholarships to bring that number down. I know next year Jonathan's going to be looking at some ideas that were brought up by Scott at the board meeting to create escrow fund or a trust fund for scholarships so we can continue to increase what we're producing on that. Because eventually we'll get into a nice balance point where we won't have to keep spending more than we're bringing in. And it would be nice to have that money set aside so that is secure. We did project a $31,000 loss for this fiscal year. And because of the efforts of our conferences, we only had a negative $8,000, so we still did better than we had hoped. And then lastly, included in your packet is the fidelity report. Because we had so much in cash in our accounts and our CD rates were so wonderful, it's been the policy of the board to put the money into a mutual fund investment. That continues to perform very well. We did a 1.45% increase for the last quarter, and those funds will continue to be invested in that, and that is in your packet for your information. And then lastly, I get to present a budget for your consideration and ultimately a vote for the 2017-2018 year. We again are following with that policy direction of keeping to bring down our cash balance. We want to keep a cash balance on hand of at least $100,000 for the chapter. We are doing a negative budget, and we will still be at $110,000 at the end of the year. And that's, again, going back to the conferences, the sponsorships that we're getting from our corporate members. And so I want to thank everybody for making my budget year easier than Gary's last year, where he wasn't sure we were going to make that $100,000 mark. And with that, I'm open for any questions on the budget.
Any questions for First Vice President Stout?
Check. No questions, just one comment, and I'd like to actually commend you on your very
It's like
excellent.
that voice came out of nowhere there.
Yeah, it's up there.
Oh, is that what?
But John, I'd like to commend you on your most excellent explanation of the budget and the finances.
Big Joe's tough, man. He'll ask the hard questions, so you did good. If that's a compliment,
I had
that's
some
big.
hard questions to ask, but he addressed them all.
So with that, if there's no more questions at this point, I would call for a motion to approve the budget. Mr. Husband, and second back there? Thank you, sir. Any additional questions or comments? If not, all those signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The budget is passed. All right. Okay, the next item up is bylaws amendment, which Mr. Second Vice President Hudson will.
Hate to break up the flow here, but I believe, Howard, you had a longest drive announcement. Were you still looking? No, we were good. Okay. Just want to make sure. So with the language with the language of the executive and the associate and the executive emeritus being changed last general membership, we saw an inconsistency within the verbiage of the executive emeritus, and it was unclear if you move to a corporate position whether you can retain your executive emeritus membership. So we made the language very clear that if you move to corporate, you will be a corporate member and you will not get the benefits of executive emeritus. Until which time you left the corporate realm, you would then regain your executive emeritus. So this language cleans that up, and I'm open for any questions.
No questions for the second vice president. I will call for a motion for approval of the amendment to the bylaws. I got a voice. Thank you. And a second? Heard one over there, I think. Any additional questions or comments? If not, I will call for the motion. Signify by saying aye for approval. Aye. Any opposed? Nothing. Unanimous. Wonderful. Okay, folks, we're going to dive into our committee reports. Don't be scared. We're still going to get out of here way early because a lot of these reports, there's nothing to report. So with that, I am going to start off with the 2017 Summer Conference Committee update with Mr. Rondinella. Would you like to come up and speak? Be wonderful. Hold on. No, you need a mic because if they're streaming. Here.
So as I was just going to acknowledge my crack team for all that they've done, I realized they already left. So anyway, hope you all had a great time. We still have some more fun to have, and we'll see you tonight. Way to go, Barry.
Okay, the AAAE Academics Relations, not relationships. That was terrible. It's because I saw Barry and he's so handsome all the time. Why? He always suited up, man. Committee, Mr. Tran.
Okay, so I'm going to work backwards on my reports. So this year, SWAI was able to grant or award 2 grants to a student chapter, and the student chapter was California State University, Los Angeles. One of the grant was just for the chapter itself as a group, and the other one was to support a student or student group at the National AAA Conference for their poster presentation. And I'm happy to let the membership know that the school, Cal State LA, got 2nd place in the poster presentation contest. And currently there are 3 active student chapters, 1 in the works, and the other part is internship, which was mentioned earlier. AAA on their website, they have an internship program guide, so if you don't have internship and you want one, AAA does offer like a handbook, and if you need any help posting internship or just learning about it, you can let me know, because I'm incoming president, will be quite busy. So I will, if you want an internship, just let me know or create one.
Okay. Oh, that's you.
That's me.
Next item is academic accreditation update, final interview workshop. Ms. Maples.
I was trying to keep us on time. I was up here ready to go. Okay, so we have 1 amendment to the report in your packet. I am pleased to announce that we have 471 active AAEs because we had Mike Schmeckel with Tucson Airport Authority pass the final interview this weekend. So, yay! There's all kinds of great information in the report. We do have upcoming BOE meeting. The thing I would just mention is that there's been a significant turnover on the Board of Examiners due to changes in jobs and just terms, being over. So about half of the BOE is new, so it's a great opportunity to kind of see things from fresh eyes. So I'm happy to answer any questions later on if you've got any. Thank you very much.
Okay, the next item is the AAAE update, and Ms. Bewley, Mr. Malta, and Mr. Rondinella deferred their time to Mr. McNamee, our second vice chair, AAAE, and Mr. Brockman did as well. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. You sure you don't want to come up to that? So Danette and Scotty did a really good job of putting a very thorough report in your packet starting on page 16. So if you have that in front of you, you can go through that. And you've heard a lot about what's happening up in DC from Todd Hopley while he was here and others during our sessions. Just a reminder that the reauthorization bill obviously didn't make it onto the schedule for the House floor this week. We don't anticipate that it will. And if you remember, Todd Hopley also mentioned that we should be being alert for an email alert coming out of AAA and others about some action on the Hill. And I don't know how many of you heard about this yet, but in the Senate Transportation Appropriations Subcommittee earlier today, they passed a funding bill for 2018 that includes an increase in the PFC of $4, so to $8.50. Yeah, for originating passengers only. So they did that because the small rural communities were still concerned about their passengers being double charged and that basically increasing the fares for those smaller airports. So for originating passengers only, but also raising AIP by $250 million. That passed the Transportation Appropriations Subcommittee this morning. That's, we should very much thank Chairman Susan Collins from Maine and Ranking Member Jack Reed from Rhode Island. And really, we should be thanking our AAAE staff, Joel Bacon and Todd Hopley. Todd testified before this subcommittee back in March, established that relationship working with the Maine airports, and also Senator Collins to get this in the works to bring to fruition today. There's more work to be done. This goes to the full Senate committee on Thursday. We do have one representative, that is Senator Feinstein, that sits on the full committee. So if you have any connection whatsoever and some ability to outreach to Senator Feinstein, I encourage you to do that vigorously today and tomorrow as the full committee gets ready to hear this and hopefully pass it as is. With that, I'm available for any questions. Nope. Okay, so immediately following this, go get on the phone or your email and reach out to Senator Feinstein's office. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to probably see a lot of this right now, so I'm going to start with the next item, which is awards. Mr. Dickin, anything you want to talk about? Remember, it's the signal, right? Okay. Corporate member update? Okay, got it. I told you we're going to go like that. Credentials. I don't think Mr. O'Reilly is here, but he will be at the banquet tonight doing some presentations. I'll skip over ethics, right? We good? Yep. All right. Industry issues and positions, we're good. Historical, nothing. All right. Legislative, I know we have something. Mr. Bannon, our committee, there he is.
Good afternoon. First off, I'd like to thank the legislative committee members who submitted reports, Mr. John Pfeiffer and Dean Schultz for California and Nevada, respectively. Also, Mr. Bradley Hagan from past president ASA also submitted, helped us out with an Arizona update. So I'll give a very brief overview. This stuff's pretty dry, so I'll try and move quickly. Arizona, not in session until January 2018. The ADOT deferral program is up to date as of June 30th. APMS program is suspended until 2019, and state local only in Arizona is suspended until 2020, until the fund gets back into funding capabilities of those programs. California is in session. The FAA fuel revenue policy, the tax policy is continuing to be front and center. California still maintains their compliance, and we don't see any sort of progress on this anytime soon. December 2017 is the deadline to be in compliance from the FAA perspective, so we'll see what happens with that. I think Gary mentioned this. I don't know if he did or not. We were going to craft a letter of opposition to an amendment from Representative Napolitano in California. She was proposing to change some wording in the legislation for reauthorization concerning the tax policy. It was actually withdrawn. It was going to change the language to apply only to excise taxes and not to general taxes on fuel, and that was withdrawn due to lack of support from the chair. Hawaii, there's really nothing to report there. Nevada, the legislation session ended June 5th, and it won't be back until February of 2019. Over 1,000 bills were drafted. Most of them did not have an impact on aviation. And the federal issues were covered. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
All right, next item is membership. Mr. Probst, nothing? Thank you, sir. Policy decisions and procedures, Second Vice President Hudson, anything? You're good? Gladys isn't here. Scholarships, we'll be talking about that tonight during the banquet. Technology, Mr. Peterson.
Yeah, so obviously technology is working really well. I don't have a whole lot to add. As you see, the lights are working, the cameras are working. We've had up to 18 people one time streaming the sessions today. Most of the stuff has already been posted online, so if you want to review anything right now, you can do it by going to livestream./SWAI. It will come off of that within the next month and then go on to the YouTube channel, which you have to log into the SWAI website to get to. Other than that, I don't really have anything else to add.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your help. Next item, time and place. Oh.
I do have one other thing I'd like to say. I'd like to recognize two gentlemen sitting over here to my left who have been a tremendous help today. This conference, I'll say that this particular conference has been, it's kind of like everything has come together. Everything has worked the way it's supposed to. Streaming has worked. It has been a big help having Joe here running the soundboard. And you all know Wes also, who has just kind of reappeared this year. I was really happy to hear his voice on the telephone and show up here, and he has everything set up. So I'd like to give both these gentlemen a round of applause.
As Joe would say, harumph. Right, Joe? All right. All right, next item is time and place. First VP.
Good afternoon again. It's my pleasure to talk about where our next meetings will be coming and when. One benefit of becoming the next president is the next quarterly meeting for the board of directors gets to be in my neighborhood, so I can reduce some of my travel. We'll be hosting the October quarterly board meeting on October 20th in Rohnert Park. We will have our winter directors meeting in Monterey January 28th at the Monterey Plaza. And of course, our Monterey conference is scheduled for January 28th through January 31st. And our spring quarterly board of directors meeting will be in Sacramento. We don't have those dates yet set, but that will be in April. And then we want to thank Sacramento County International Airport for agreeing to be our host for next summer. The summer conference will be in Sacramento July 22nd through July 25th. And TJ will be giving a much better overview of that tonight. And so that's it for time and place.
Look around the back now, and I can skip the last like two. So announcements for the officers and elections and the committee chairs. We're going to go ahead and announce that at the banquet. So stay tuned. I know there's a lot of pressure. Barney, I don't know if you made it though or not. I saw a lot of write-ins against you, buddy. Saying. But now it's time for you guys to talk and ask questions, comments, complaints. Well, no complaints or concerns, but questions or comments. So member comments? Yes, sir. Yes. Wait for a mic.
Just a quick comment. Last week, I heard some campaigning in Arizona, and Arizona Congressman Gosar made the comment that he's willing to stand out for a government shutdown if they don't get the wall built. Now, that sounds like a silly thing, but maybe it's just a first step that we're going to see a groundswell for this, or maybe he's just testing the market out there in our state. So keep an ear out there, because last time we had a shutdown, it had a real bad impact on us.
Any other comments from members? Any additional comments for this lovely board of directors?
So I took the opportunity to do this during the board of directors meeting, but I want to do it during the general membership meeting. This is the last general membership meeting we will be having President Mascaro to say thank you, and we appreciate your leadership very much.
Thank you, Ms. Hudson. All right, one other item, and then we're going to end this thing, is all of the dates that were just told by our first vice president about our time and place will be posted on our website. So stay tuned if you need to mark your calendars way in advance. It all should be posted for you here shortly. And with that, no more questions and comments. I'd like to request a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? No questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Meeting's adjourned. Check that out.
Nice job. I was so tempted to say after his comment that I wanted to personally thank you for setting the bar so low.
Thank you, sir. You're always so kind.